Atheists have launched an anti-Christmas billboard campaign in the heart of the Bible Belt. The displays, sponsored by the group American Atheists, are located in residential areas and near schools and churches in Memphis, Nashville, St. Louis, and Arkansas. They feature a young girl writing a letter to Santa saying, "All I want for Christmas is to skip church. I'm too old for fairy tales." And joining us for more about this and how Christians can actually use the holiday season to win the loss is Dr. R. Larry Moyer. He is CEO of Evantel, a ministry that trains Christians in evangelism. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
Now, Dr. Moyer, this billboard campaign against Christmas is nothing new. What are your thoughts on this latest attempt?
Well, several things. First of all, it's awfully important not to make this represent everybody, because it most certainly doesn't. This is a particular group of people that feel that this is something they'd like to do, and it's awfully important not to make this something that you feel represents everybody. Secondly, always remember, when people are talking, you can talk, and that's an advantage, because that becomes what I call an opportunity for the gospel, because when people are talking, you can talk. And so this affords you a chance to talk with them, whether it be the people themselves who are doing this campaign or just people over the Christmas season. One of the best opportunities for the gospel is over the Christmas season, because people are more God-minded than they are any other time. They're not always sure who God is or what he's like or if Christ was what he said he was, but at least they're at a point where they could talk. And so this affords you a real opportunity to talk and just interact with people. I always take the offensive. I never take the defensive. In other words, if someone says, "I don't believe there's a God" or something, I would say, well, what brought you to the conclusion there is no God? I always take the offensive, never take the defensive. Or you say that God does not exist. What is a God like that you say does not exist? Most times I come back and say, oh, I don't think he exists either. And so this is a time where you take the offense. You don't take the defense.
Excellent. And that was my next question. How should the church respond, and should the church be worried? Because this is the actual same group that put up a billboard last Christmas season in Times Square.
Worried, no, because when Scripture says, "Do not be anxious," I think that means what it says, and that means everything. So I don't think there's any need to be worried. I think we really need to be prayerful, because you have to come back and say, "But for the grace of God, there be I." And if God not worked in our lives, we might be doing the same thing. And so instead, we ought to be prayerful, and we say, "God, give us an opportunity to talk to people who this kind of thing may have caught their interest, and therefore allows me a chance to talk about the gospel." And say, "Lord, may this provide open doors and opportunities for me to talk to people, and because others are talking." Amen. And God can use it in a great way. I think the thing that ought to make you prayerful for them is to see the tremendous confusion. In other words, if you don't think God exists, then why bother with him? The very fact that they're protesting says something right there, because if you don't think God exists, why even bother with him? And the other thing is the confusion results from some of this is being done in communities where schools and churches are trying to help people. So even if you think God does not exist, why discourage schools and churches that are doing some humanitarian things to help people that they too want to help? And so you can just see the tremendous confusion, and also that ought to make you pity them instead of get mad at them.
Excellent point. Well, a lot of people celebrate Christmas but are not sure why they celebrate it. Talk about that.
Yes, and that's where you afford a good opportunity to say, what do you think Christmas is all about? What to you is the biggest thing about Christmas that you enjoy? And as you ask them questions, they ask you questions, and you can respond. And I think there's a lot of people that love Christmas because it's a fun time, a happy time, a giving time, receiving time, time to be with family and friends. And somehow the world looks a little better than it does the other 11 months out of the year. And I think that's why some people like it. That's also, though, why so many people, some of their biggest depression is right after Christmas. There have been years that the most suicides were committed the week between Christmas and New Year's. Because if everything you think means a lot to you is over December 25th, then what? Wow. And that's a pretty lonely feeling.
Indeed. Well, as you mentioned, the Christmas season is filled with many opportunities for Christians to share the gospel. What are some practical ways they can actually do that?
I tell people, just sit back using the mind God's given you and just think of some common sense things. Now, for example, why not give a plate of cookies or something like that to your car mechanic, to the person that picked up your mail while you're on vacation, to the one that's done favors for you, for neighbors? By doing stuff like that, you may have a chance to tell them about the giver of all good gifts. One suggestion. Another one is, you know somebody who's going through their first holiday season without a mate. The mate may have passed or something like that. And this is a chance for you just to be there, to maybe take them somewhere with you to help them with their loneliness. And so doing allows you to transition to spiritual things. And just think of practical things you can do. I know of a church that had a gift wrapping party that if you would bring as an unbeliever your gift to the church, they would wrap it for you. It was not a gift wrapping party for Christians. They would not wrap any gifts from believers, but they would wrap those for unbelievers and gave them a chance to say when God wrapped his gift, he wrapped it free of charge. And we're doing the same thing for you. And just some common sense things, whether it be take them with you to a special Christmas Eve service or something like that, can have an effect. Take care of their kids while they go Christmas shopping. Little things come back and say, had I been unsaved, what are little things I would appreciate somebody doing for me this Christmas?
Excellent points. Now, tell us about the Evangelism Study Bible and the impact that it's actually having.
It's interesting, we're 2,000 years this side of Christ, and yet there's never been an Evangelism Study Bible, and this is the culmination of a 6-year project. Couldn't be any more excited about how it's been received. In the Bible itself, there's a total of over 2,600 study notes, 264 breakout articles on how to talk to your relatives, how to talk to your children. It's the Bible designed to help believers in their two biggest struggles in evangelism, fear and not knowing how. And I can safely say that everything addressed in the Evangelism Study Bible, whether it be through a note, a tip on evangelism, a how-to article, is designed to help believers overcome their two biggest struggles, fear and not knowing how.
Man, well, we want to mention that that study Bible is actually available through Evantel, and you can go to our website at cbn.com to find out how you can get one. Dr. Moyer, thank you so much for your time and your wonderful insights.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being with you.